Coach, why now? Why was the timing right to step aside?
Well, I don't know. 36 years is a long time. It just seemed I think, part of it is just personally I was ready, I think, and then also just some of the changes that are going on in athletics now. It's a dinosaur like me. I think it's hard for me to live with some of that stuff. So it's just the right time, I think.
What kind of feedback have you heard from friends and former athletes since you announced you were stepping away?
It's been overwhelming. Heard from, I don't know, within an hour I'd probably heard from 80 people, and it was pretty overwhelming, pretty emotional.
You've coached a lot of athletes and had a lot of coaches over the course of your time, and as a coach, what's the most rewarding thing that when you coach so many athletes and have so many coaches on your staff, what's just that rewarding part of it when you've been doing it for so long?
The relationships, just the relationships with the student athletes over time, and then the post-collegiate athletes, and then other whatever quote professional athletes as you've had relationships over time. But then, as you said, we've had a lot of really great staff members, both from an administrative standpoint and assistant coaches, and it's all of that means a lot. It's been pretty awesome.
You're retiring from K-State. Are you 100% retiring as far as some of the athletes you work with and stuff like that?
Well, I think I'll still be involved in the sport. You probably get more involved back. I used to be very, very much involved in coaching education programs, and probably get a little bit more involved in that, do some consulting stuff, and I'm sure I'll still be working with athletes to some degree going forward. I don't think I could ever get away from that.
When you look back on your career, what will be some of the lasting memories?
I mean, the relationships. That's for sure. That's the most important thing. I mean, I think there's been some pretty remarkable accomplishments that groups of athletes have accomplished, that teams have accomplished, and then just athletes over time. There's some things that really, when you look back at it, it's pretty remarkable. But those things are all secondary to the relationships that have developed with the kids over time.
You mentioned it's going to be emotional. How special are these final few weeks going to be for you, but also how hard is it going to be to walk away here?
It's hard. I'm sorry. It's hard. When you're someplace as long as I've been here and had the relationships I've had with administrators and people you work with, athletes, coaches, it's really hard.
You got that dedicated indoor. You got all the facilities right there. Do you feel like that's just been a long journey that now you can leave it to the next person to enjoy that?
That was the goal. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I stuck around, to this point. I wanted to make sure that was done and done right, and I think it is. I think it's a phenomenal facility. It's a great meat facility. We had some really quality marks in the meats that we had this year, but from a training perspective, it's really, really good. You literally can have athletes training in every single field event at the same time, and that's unheard of in an indoor facility. So I think that's going to have a huge impact on kids being able to train the way you should be able to train going forward.
You talked about a little bit, Coach. It's kind of hard in the college landscape now to stay for over 30 years, let alone 5 years, whatever sport it is.
Right.
Just, I guess the question is, why K-State for 36 years?
It just seemed like the right place to be for me. It was a good fit. We were allowed to do the things that, with the K-State program that we felt like were the right things to do. It was a place that embraced, the post-collegiate athlete, and I resisted allowing folks from other universities to come in and train with us for a long time. but I always felt an obligation for us to continue to work with those kids that were a part of the K-State program if they wanted to stay on. And there's a lot of universities that really don't embrace that, and K-State always did. So that was one of the reasons for sure, because again, there's athletes I coached for 15, 16, 17 years, and many of them were K-Staters, and that never would have been possible had we been another place where they weren't allowed to stay on and continue to train. So that was a big piece of it. But we always felt comfortable here in Manhattan. We loved it here. We loved the university. Loved the people here. And we always just felt like we had a chance to be competitive and do it the right way.